Giannis Antetokounmpo could be asking and requesting a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks as early as this offseason. And reportedly, we already know the teams that he's interested in. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, Wemby's slow start to the season. How concerned should we be about it? We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. We got Big Kev, Steve-O, myself, Hayes, in the building today. We got some shit to get into, fellas. So the Milwaukee Bucks are off to a terrible start this early part of the season. They're 1-3 with losses to teams like the Brooklyn Nets on their record so far, even though the Brooklyn Nets has actually beat a couple of good teams so far this season. And so after an initial clip came out earlier about Giannis, who could request a trade. Now we're starting to get more and more rumors and things, even from CBS Sports, say that Antetokounmpo could want out, and that the Nets and the Miami Heat are teams that he's reportedly interested in going to if he does request a trade. Take that for what you will. There's also another one that came out earlier today as well, that look out for the OKC Thunder to be a dark horse to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo with all of their draft assets, which, if that happens, that's just not fair, bro. Like, that just would not be fair. But what do you guys think about Giannis and then potentially asking out of Milwaukee?
Well, it's two things. I don't think it wouldn't be fair for him to go to OKC because he can't shoot. That's part of their problem, is that they can't shoot threes. You just add another 9 3-point shooter to the team. But also, Dame got to be sitting there like, oh no, this. I know I didn't just fight my way out of Portland and go back to Midwest Portland, and it's colder here. So he got to feel some type of way about these rumors that basically Giannis started himself. And honestly, Giannis felt this way maybe like a year after they won the championship. He started kind of whispering about maybe leaving Milwaukee. There's a time where he said he might even come to the Bulls, that he liked the Bulls too. So who knows, man? It could just be posturing from Giannis to try to get them to build a better team around him. But let's be frank, Doc Rivers is suffering from karmic energy. That man cozied up to Adrian Griffin, played the role of, ooh, I'm going to give you advice, and swooped in and took that team from that man. And now they're paying the cost for it. That's just how I feel. It's the same way I felt about the Cubs when they got Craig Counsell from the Milwaukee Brewers. For some reason, Milwaukee and their coaching situations are causing these issues. Giannis might need to go somewhere else, but I don't know if he's going to get traded. I don't know if they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Steve-O?
It ain't shocking because, like you said, before he signed that contract, he let it be known, if we ain't contending, I don't want to be here. And for the last year, they've gotten further and further away from contention each and every year. It went from the top 3 best team to now we putting them almost top 5. So once you get to that point, I think he sees like it's almost like the writing on the wall, because you didn't trade it away, Drew Holiday. You didn't trade away most of your bench pieces, and the core is just getting older, and it's getting glimpsed, and that whole and that side ahead is just getting darker and darker. So I can see why he feels like he can do it, but like I think the thing is like it's not going to be that many teams that's going to try to shoot for Giannis, because, like you said, he got a contract, and as well as that, he plays a certain way. And then in terms of playing a certain way, the only reason he won the championship, which he did, is because they completely built around him the right way. And in order for you to bring him onto that team, you almost got to commit that. So I think it'll be a couple teams that be interested, and maybe it's some teams that you can fit on, but like maybe you should have thought more in depth before you signed that contract. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, we're seeing that a lot in the NBA now, where players are locking in their money, and then if they want to move, they want, at least they got their money. Like, Giannis contract aside, if Giannis Antetokounmpo is on the open market, there are going to be teams that are calling for him, period, regardless of the contract, regardless of the fit, because they're going to look at it and say the talent, we can make the fit later. We're going to lock in the talent, and so I don't think there's going to be any shortcoming of teams that are going to call now. I don't know how realistic those deals are going to be for them to benefit Milwaukee. We don't even know what Milwaukee would even be looking back at that point. Like, they could have to go the Utah Jazz route, just trade everything and get all the assets you can at that point in time. Trade both him and Dame. Like, but But we'll see as this develops. Now, I want to be clear. Nothing are they saying that could happen as soon as this trade deadline. Seems like all the rumors and everything are all pointing towards it. If it does happen, it won't be until the off season after they get a chance to see what this team is going to be. And I think that's the right decision. But it is something to look out for this off season, especially in this draft. And don't overlook that as well. Some of these teams that could have high draft picks in this deep draft, they may try to use that to bring in Giannis Antetokounmpo.
And Dame gonna be hard to trade too. He gonna be
Yeah.
making like $90 million or something like that in the next couple of years, bro. It's crazy. His contract inflation is bananas. Every year he's making like another 10, 15 million on top of the money that he's making right now. So I don't know how they're gonna move him, bro. And Doc might as well retire if they gonna go the rebuild
Doc
route.
should have been retired. Like Doc is just, how I'm not a Doc Rivers guy. It is what it is. And Dame Lillard's contract isn't actually that bad, Brody. It's looks like it maxes out at the end of this at about $54 million. That's not that
That's
much
bad.
nowadays.
No, I thought
That
he
I mean,
signed another
I
extension before he
mean,
left Portland.
according to the production and age, that's not a good contract.
I'm not saying it's a good contract. I'm just saying that it's not
It's
a hard
tradable.
contract.
It's
It's a
definitely
tradable
tradable.
contract. Like
Yeah, it's
with
a
the way the
tradable
contracts are
contract.
shaped up now, it's tradable. Yeah, he's an unrestricted free agent, Kev, at the end of the end of the 2026-27 season. So
Okay. Yeah, I
yeah,
thought he was making like 60 million a year,
yeah,
something
Hell
like
no.
that.
yeah. It's close to it. 58 million at
There
the
you
at
go.
the, at the
That
final.
last
Yeah,
one.
58 million. Yeah,
There you
that's a
go.
that's a player option. So
Yeah, he gonna opt in.
oh, he's definitely opting into that. Yeah. That's not even a question. But from an old skeezer in Dame Lillard, no, he's not really that old. But Wemby's season, the start of this season has been rough for Wemby. His numbers are down across the board. 16 and a half points per game, down from 21. He's shooting the ball 6% worse from the field overall, and he's only shooting 19% from three after shooting 32% his rookie year. Rebound numbers are still good. Block numbers are he's down almost a block per game as well. No steals at all this season yet. And one of the things that I want to point out on why the season has been a big change for him, because if you notice, teams are scheming differently for Wemby now. They're putting wings on Wemby and putting centers on Jeremy Sohan defensively. And that's really causing some mismatch problems where Wemby just, his numbers are down across the board. Wemby has to learn how to be more forceful and to force the issue to make other teams put centers on him. And even through all that weight that he put on reportedly this offseason, he's not doing that yet. Do you think these early season struggles for Wemby are just early season struggles to go away sooner? He'll adapt, or do you think this could only be the tip of the iceberg? Have teams already started figuring out how to scheme Wemby out of having big impacts in games?
It's both. It's definitely both. He's it's too early to be like, okay, we got to be super duper concerned about it.
Yeah,
What I'm more so concerned about is him not getting up for the game last night. Like, my guy, you're going against Chet Holmgren. Like, this is the guy that they're comparing you to the most. He could have won Rookie of the Year last year, but Wemby was the front runner for the whole season. So that's just how it goes. And the NBA kind of wants to push him in toward the face of the NBA category eventually. Uh, but to put up 6 points last night on 5 shot attempts is bananas, bro. You're 7'12". Like, it don't make sense for you to not be able to score at least 10 points, for you to not be able to get a steal at all this season. You haven't got one steal and you got a pterodactyl wingspan. I'm not buying it, bro. Like, that's, how I feel about Rudy Gobert. I call him big useless. And there's gonna look, he can either go one or two directions. He can figure it out and start being a 20 and 10, 20 and 15 type player, or he'll find himself being Rudy Gobert, where he's going to turn into a defensive player who they're not really looking for his offense. We'll take what we can get from you offensively, but you're going to just be a defensive player. And unfortunately for these other three Frenchmen that just got drafted too, it's going to start to become a trend. Like, are all these Frenchmen soft? Like, do they come to the NBA? Or do they just become soft
damn.
where they can dominate over in Europe? I'm just asking the question, like, for real, like,
I
because
mean, you're
these guys,
fair. It's fair.
yeah, it is what it is. Look, Wemby has all the measurables to be dominant right now. There's no reason for you to only to be shooting 5 shots in a game, bro. 5, and you're not in
Yeah,
foul trouble, and you only got 6 points. That's insane. All his numbers
yeah.
being down to start the season is understandable because teams are scheming him differently. But he has to be the one to put in the work to figure out how to go get around all of that. Because there's no reason for him to not succeed in the NBA. It's built for him to succeed.
That's a fact.
Is it built for him to succeed? Because he just fallen victim of this league. That's all it is. It's one simple problem that he need to fix. Get your 15th wonder of the world built ass in the paint. It's that simple. You're 7'4" and you're an athletic 7'4". That's the main problem. It's too many jump shots, too many side steps, too many step backs, too many I'm trying to handle. Get your big ass down low, hook. Get your big ass down low, layup. That they can't stop you. I don't care how linky or how much you don't weigh. You have a 8'8" wingspan. We've seen you dunk on people without even trying. You just glide to the get in the paint. And then you can play the inside out. That's why they sending wings on you on the defender. Or they sending wings on you because they know you're gonna stay on the perimeter. And what's the best person to put him on the perimeter? Not a center, because he's just gonna go past you. He's athletic enough. Now, if you mix that up, play down low, and then bring it back out against certain people, which is funny that they're bringing against wings, I would have instantly got my ass in the post. That's the only thing. Somebody just need to be in his ear and realize, dude, you 7'4", get in the paint. The easiest bucket is give the ball to the tallest person who's near the paint. That's been a recipe for basketball since it was made in Indiana.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it with Wemby is that he's at the place now already in his second year where it usually comes 3 or 4 years into the league for these generational players, right? Like the league is already adapted to what he does, which means his acceleration is going to have to be higher. He's going to have to adapt just as quick as the league is adapting to him. There have been people who spent all offseason, I'm sure assistant coaches, whatever, they've spent all offseason trying to figure out how they can scheme. And now that teams are starting to have that success, we already know it's a copycat league. Now that that's out there, a lot of teams are going to try this. If you have those lengthy wings, to put those wings on Wemby, put centers, and you're exploring mismatch opportunities for yourself. Wemby's going to have to wake up. You're going to have to get physical. You're going to have to show that you're tough. You're going to have to get some refined post moves here and over the next couple of seasons. You're going to have to do that because just getting by on being the freak in nature, this is
Ain't gonna work.
the quickest I've ever seen that burn out. Now, of course, it's still early in the season. We got to wait to see this. This may not work 2 weeks from now, but right now it's working, and they're gonna keep throwing it at you until you do something different.
And Steve-O, to your point, he took 5 shots yesterday. 3 of them were threes,
That's
and the
That's the
other
crazy.
two was
problem.
probably the other two was
That's
probably
crazy.
jump shots. That's insane, bro. And
Yeah.
speaking of the other Frenchmen, I was looking at Alex Sarr, the number 2 overall pick. He shot more threes at 7 feet. He's taken more threes than twos.
That's the
Like, dude,
problem.
y'all can't come
Yeah.
over here to the NBA and be soft. Take all that croissant stuff and back over to France, bro.
Hey,
Green,
This
croissants is
league, but
fire.
that's the thing. The league is soft. They're just doing what the league wants. If you're gonna be 7 foot, you gotta be able to shoot. That's all,
that's
and that's the
and that's
problem.
fine. But listen, as much as Joel Embiid shoot threes, he go into the paint. As much as
Well,
Cat shoot threes, he
two,
go into
they
the paint.
both they
I'm just
both
saying.
over 250 pounds though.
I'm
That's a
just
difference.
saying, but they go to the paint. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like you got big men that shoot threes that can shoot threes. Vucevic can shoot threes as well. He go to the paint, and I get it. They're all over a certain amount of pounds, but you tall enough to get around that, Jack. I'm not trying to hear it. You should be able to back down, turn, and shoot. You should be able to back, turn, and hook, left or right hook shots. There's no reason for you to be just out there taking jump shots at 7'6". That's just
That's what they've been
unacceptable.
doing since they was 15. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like it's different between Joel Embiid versus he taught himself how to do them. They're still telling him to bang down low and then okay, you're going to the NBA. Now work on your shot. Alex Sarr and them been knowing that since they was 4. Their bad favorite players is KD and them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just
Even
mocking his
KD go
game.
to the post though.
I mean, yeah,
KD was
and they're
also
gonna.
was born in a different generation as well.
Well, I think the thing is too is that they're gonna have to learn that like people we're so used to shooting threes now. You have to have an extra part of your game. It's not just this league
Yes.
anymore. You can just watch and like you can shoot threes. You have to set it up. And if teams know that that's all you're going to do is you're going to settle for a 3-point shot, you're easier to defend. So there's a psychological part of it as well as a physicality part of it that has to come along for these guys. And that's why I said like usually when like players are usually 3-4 years into the league where the league starts adapting to scheme for them, and by that part they're starting to get the basketball IQ, right? The game's starting to slow down to them. it accelerating at this rate where you now have a scheme like we're completely basically phasing you out. We're willing to let you shoot threes because you're not going into the paint. You got to get down there and bang some. You got to.
Even Chet Holmgren is doing it, and
Yeah,
I've watched a few.
listen, that's one thing.
Also
Nobody can
American.
nobody can call Chet soft. I would
Mm-mm.
argue anybody down if they try to call Chet Holmgren soft because Chet don't got no problem getting in the weeds. He's one of
Nope.
them ones. That's a
And
fact.
he's one of those proud American sinners we can finally say because we ain't got too many of them.
That's
He's
a
not
fact.
American though.
Chet
he's
is
not.
American.
He's Canadian.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. That nigga's American. I don't give a fuck. This motherfucker's supposed to be out
He's
here.
North American.
I mean, he was born here. If that counts for anything, he was
He
born in
American.
Minnesota. He was born in Minnesota.
Yeah,
And he
but
played. Well, I'm about to say he played with. No, he American. He played
No,
with
he-
Suggs.
he
if
plays
you
with
play,
Canada. He
if
plays
you
Oh wait,
with
play,
Canada.
if
no.
you're,
Well, yeah, they must be because he even went to high school in
that's what
uh,
I'm saying. He played with Jalen Suggs,
Yeah.
and he spent a nice amount of time in America. That
yeah,
man,
Yeah,
American.
he went to high school in Minnesota too.
No,
So
I get
yeah.
it. I just know that the Olympic team he was playing with Canada. He
Yeah.
got hurt. He didn't play with them in the Olympics, but
But
you know,
yeah.
hey, he got to get his act together as far as Wemby is concerned because he was Wemby last night, bro. He
That's a
bogus.
fact. That's a fact.
That
Well,
man
somebody
is
who's not a wimp.
That man was not on Canada. I don't know what you talking about.
I thought he was on the
This ain't
Canada team.
national team representing the United States. I knew he's
Okay.
American.
I thought he was Canadian. My bad.
No.
Draymond Green was asked on his podcast. He was talking about the OKC Thunder, and he said that opponents don't fear the Thunder. This is the reason. We'll get into the reason, then we'll break it down. The one thing I see with OKC's team is that that's a little alarming for me is like their post games. Like 7 guys in the interview, there's a certain seriousness that it takes to win in this league, and that's a certain fear you have to instill in teams in order to win. Are we talking about post games, Draymond? We're talking about post games. We're talking about post games, Draymond Green. Like, don't get me wrong. I can understand if you wanted to say, well, teams don't really fear the OKC Thunder yet. I get I can understand. But the reasoning you gave, the thing that you went to, is that they have 7 people in their post games. That's what we're talking about.
And I was even gonna let him pass with the dominance part because he's seen teams fear a team he's been a part of, so he know what it looks like. But y'all wasn't dominant because of that. The only 2 players that you possibly had that had a post game like that was KD and Sean Livingston. So what we talking about?
No. He's talking about
He's talking
post-game
about post game
interviews.
interviews. That's what it is.
Oh,
He's not even
post-game
talking about
interviews.
in the post. He's talking about that they have 7 people in post game interviews. Like, that's what I'm saying, bro. That's what we talking
That's
about
because
now.
I'm like, if he would have said, yeah, because they don't shoot the 3 well, or their field goal percentage is kind of rough. They take a lot of shots, or SGA hasn't figured it out yet. What was SGA last night? I think 7 for 20 from the field. Like those types of things, they're winning off of defense, and the other team's missing. Like they lost. The Bulls had 26 turnovers versus OKC. OKC didn't shoot well themselves, though. They shot like 20% from 3 themselves in the game that they beat the Bulls. If he would have brought up stats and analysis, I would have been riding with him because teams shouldn't fear a team that's still trying to figure it out, even though they're figuring it out and winning. But to talk about their post-game interviews, like Joe, like how Hollywood is that, bro? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are we talking about, Draymond Green? Like, what are we talking about, bro?
What great basketball team have we ever talked about their post game ever? We not even talking about the media. We talking about the post game where they're at the end of the game. Man, ain't you the same motherfucker that choked out a Frenchman on national TV?
Mm-hmm. And he's also
Ain't you
Mr.
the same person that's out here on multiple occasions kicking grown men in the lower region?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's him.
And he's also
Ain't you the same? Ain't you probably gonna go down next to Rasheed Elijah with the most Texas suspensions in the NBA history?
and not just that, he's a coattail rider. Like he had maybe all of the championships that the Golden State Warriors won, he probably played a major role in 2 of them.
The first one.
Maybe just one. Like from then on, he basically rode the success of Clay and Steph and Steve Kerr and other role players. Like, come on, bro. Like Draymond Green, like I get it, bro. I get it, bro. But Mr. Triple Single should not be talking about nobody fearing nobody because don't nobody fear you, my guy.
About to say,
Nobody
if you want to
fears
talk
you.
about post games, how about we talk about your ad? Ever since you got on this podcast, you've been trash. How about we talk about that?
Well, he was trash before the podcast, but he's
I mean, yeah.
trasher.
You right. I'm being nice, but I'm just saying. Like, don't stop. I like you. You know who he reminds me of? He think he's Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
Like he think he got. Oh, I got G4T class. I got four. You weren't one of them motherfuckers, bro.
You weren't,
Like
bro.
I honest, you a great basketball man. I'm not gonna take away. You know what you're talking about, but stop trying to. There's too many times when he trying to love folks somebody, little bro. Like that. This a little bro trying to little bro them. In my opinion.
He's trying to psychologically get in their head because that's the type of stuff that Draymond has to resort to at this point in his career. Again, I don't think Golden State should have given him that contract extension. It was definitely a legacy contract, but giving him $100 million was crazy to me. Like that was insane. But at the end of the day, he's just trying to play the psychological game. This ain't the WWF though. I like what OKC is doing out there, and they still have all the assets in the world to remain relevant for the next 10, 15 years if they play their cards right. Whereas the Golden State Warriors are kind of on a downswing. They've been playing a lot better than I thought they would to start the season at 4-1, but they just played the New Orleans Pelicans back to back. They played Portland. I think they lost to Portland actually, Golden State, and they've played the Clippers. So it's just not, no, they lost to the Clippers. That's who they lost to.
Yeah.
So it's just not one of those things that Draymond is not the reason that they're winning games. It's actually Buddy Hield that's coming off the bench and lighting it up, hitting 5, 6, 7 threes off the bench. If it wasn't for Buddy Hield, we're looking at a Golden State Warriors team that's probably 500 right now or worse, especially with Curry being hurt.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, with Steph being
Really
hurt,
with
Buddy
you.
Hield, but Buddy Hield's been starting as well since.
He started one of those 2 games. He started.
I thought he didn't start both of them,
Mm-mm.
and I know they put Kamingo on the bench too. So
Yeah, he didn't start last night. I think they started that dude Pods.
oh yeah,
Podz.
Podziemski did start yesterday. You're right.
I really wish he was talking about post game, in game instead of this
Yes,
game.
that would make
really,
that would be something you could break down psychologically from a basketball standpoint, right? That would be great to be having that conversation. But this man said because they have a bunch of people in the post game interview, crazy, crazy. With that said, though, let's get into the last topic today. Joel Embiid has completed multiple 5-on-5 scrimmages during his ramp-up process. He's working and getting closer and closer to being clear. This one comes from Sham Sharania. How do you guys feel about Joel Embiid being on the precipice of making his return? Keep in mind, this is after the 76ers were just fined $100,000, not because of them not handling his injury correctly or sitting him wrong, because of the public statements that they didn't reflect. This is crazy. It's just for the $100,000 because of the communication. It is what it is. But how do you guys feel about Embiid being on his way back, man?
$100,000. I wonder if he had any back-to-back practices. That was my first question. But secondly, listen, the league needs a player like Joel Embiid. He's one of the bigger personalities in the NBA. He's pure entertainment, almost must-watch basketball. Whenever they have a game, I'm sure to watch. So I'm excited to see him play. And the Philadelphia 76ers need him. Tyrese Maxey can't do it by himself. Paul George is not healthy. They need Joel Embiid so they can start racking up wins and perhaps, make the type of run that they think that they're going to make. Because make no bones about it, if they don't have Joel Embiid, they're not even going to make the playoffs, let alone the play in. Maxey can't do it. He's not the player that could do it. And I'll even say Maxey and Paul George aren't good enough to make the playoffs. They'll probably make the play in. They need Joel Embiid out there. And plus the NBA needs him. He's an MVP caliber player whenever he's healthy and playing basketball. But I do think he was dumb to say what he said. Like, he shouldn't have said what he said. But on the precipice of coming back, let's not be on the precipice, my guy. Let's get back. Let's get out there and play some basketball.
I'm at the point with him where he falls under the category of like Kawhi and them. Are you playing or not? I don't want to hear nothing else about you unless you're playing or not. I just need to know, are you playing or not? Yes or no? I don't care about all this shit no more because we've been dealing with this since you've been drafted. At this point, you're going to be injured at some point. You're going to miss some games at some point. I already came to a conclusion with that. The $100,000, I just think that's the league being petty as hell. Who knows? I don't know. Like, at this point, I don't feel like the league and the Philadelphia organization just don't have a good relationship at this point. I don't know. But yeah, when it comes to this whole situation, I don't want to hear his name until I hear he's playing tonight. I just don't care at this point because that's quite frankly, I feel like Philadelphia fans at the same pace. Like, are y'all playing? because that only if we gonna win, that's the only chance we got. So if you playing tonight, I don't want to hear about these stories of these methods, all these things you're trying. I don't want to hear it. Are you playing tonight?
It's fair. It's fair. And we'll see what it brings about for the Philadelphia 76ers. They do need Joel Embiid out there. He's such a special talent when he's out there on the court. And he's somebody that people like to watch to play basketball, all that type of stuff. And to Kev's point, you need him. And I disagree. I do think that if Paul George was healthy, they can compete for a playoff spot, like maybe at the bottom of that. But you need Joel Embiid to hit any type of heights that you want to go in this season. And so let's hope that Joel Embiid can come back and stay healthy, and we'll see how many back-to-backs he does play.
You saying just Maxey and Paul George would be a playoff team for
With
Philly?
the depth that they build there, yeah, I think they can compete for a 6 seed. I think they compete for a 6 seed.
I mean, the way Milwaukee playing, you might be right, because Milwaukee one of those teams that people just penciled in as a playoff
Yeah,
team.
listen. I know people still, and there's still more than enough time for them to turn it around. But listen, I watched 2 out of the 4 Milwaukee Bucks games so far this season, and what I can say is what I've seen in those 2 games, they look old, slow, and disinterested, and that's a dangerous place to be
You
in
saying
this
they
early
look
in the
like they
season.
coach? That's what you're
Yeah,
saying.
that's
And
very
his
accurate.
voice.
They look like Doc Rivers sound a struggle. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, fellas, before we get up out of here, man?
No, man, we should be back with NBA Central after hours tonight after work. We'll be recapping the 4 games tonight.
All right, y'all. Make sure y'all stay tuned in with us for that, man. Make sure you're following us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, 773-270-2799. We're the number 1 spot for everything basketball related. We out, y'all. Peace.
Wemby, take your ass to the post.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.